Hey guys, and welcome to the Velodicted Channel. At the end of last year, I've been in Mallorca for some days and I also got the opportunity to ride some kilometers on a rental road bike. Of course, I got my action cam with me and I filmed some footage, which I compiled in a little video. So here it is. I hope you will enjoy. Velodicted, cheers! And of course, first task of the day, scaring the shit out of this cat. Passing some nicely decorated alleyways. And finally hitting the road. A few minutes later and I reach the coastline. And it's basically everything downhill, as you can see. I'm in the drops and coasting down, and here the first glance of the mountain ridges, as you can hear by my amazement. And wow, the first time in this country with the bike, and then this kind of views in the morning. It was kind of surreal. And I was basically stunned and couldn't believe myself. I'm here on this island. Next we are entering the city Serra, which lays on the foot of the Poi Mayor, a great incline here in Mallorca, and I'm going to tackle this incline in not too distant future. Here we go, right at the foot of the famous Poi Mayor climb, coming eastbound from Serra and heading towards the tunnel crossing at the top. This segment is 12 kilometers long with an elevation gain of 720 meters and an average gradient of 6%. For me it was just pedaling up smooth without burning too many matches and conserving energy as much as possible for what was coming up next, and the upcoming was plentiful, I have to say. But it also was just pure joy going up this long climb. I've yet ridden such a long climb before, so I was kind of curious how my body will react and perform, especially in these temperatures my body isn't really used to. But I was confident because I knew I'm performing quite constant in hot weather conditions. Anyways, that was just the beginning of today's climbing. After the Poi Mayor climb, it was roughly 8 kilometers pure downhill with almost 300 meters vertical drop, averaging 39 kilometers per hour, before again climbing up the crest and entering the famous Col de Reis down to Serra. Stunned by the views going down this amazing valley, I always was aware of the fact that I have to make it back home the same way I got here. So without further hesitation, I got right back on the bike to make my way out of the valley by going up the Col de Reis. Going up Col de Reis with an average of 7%, gaining 656 meters over 9.44 kilometers, it was a real killer and I felt fatigue. It took me whopping 38 minutes with a speed of 12 kilometers per hour. Ridiculous. On my way back home, I wasn't really in the mood to roll the camera as much as I did in the beginning, since it wasn't the same way back. But also, I was sore and tired. What was ahead of me next, from the top of the Col de Reis to the tunnel crossing, was not too shabby at all. Regaining the 720 meter altitude back to the tunnel before rolling down to Serra, as you can see here. Back in Serra, it was only the roadway along the shore ahead of me, but its undulating and primarily uphill character up to Valdemossa was a nasty killer. My feet were hurting, my liquids were depleted and the heat was on. It's fair to say that I was in a pain cave, motivating and encouraging myself. But each little dip of the road gave me again confidence, coupled with the amazing sight.
Gerade eben noch im Kopf gedacht, ey, du schaffst das nicht. Natürlich schaffst du das, aber du schaffst das nicht. Und jetzt diese kleine Abfahrt, ich weiß, ich gleich wieder hoch und dann werde ich wieder sterben. Aber nur diese kleine Abfahrt und diese Aussicht hier, auslöst einem alles und lässt den Schmerz direkt wieder vergessen. Das ist unfassbar.
I managed to stay destined to make it back home. Another day, another course. Good morning, Valdemossa. Day 2 was a different animal in terms of mileage, but also in terms of road profile. There weren't major climbs like yesterday's Poi Mayor and Col de Reis, but instead several little inclines. So let's call that day lumpy. I counted 7 major inclines, although in between minor ups and downs were present as well. Here we already were over the first lump called Col Ferrandel, before freewheeling down Col de Claret and enjoying the views towards Palma in the distance. After descending Col de Claret, the second climb has just begun, called Col de Gros. Easy rolling 5.7k and 3.3 average doesn't sound impressive. However, lump after lump, it grinds you down in the long run, which I would be feeling later. Uphill, I didn't roll the camera, but descending on the other side, I recorded. And it showed me that also in Mallorca's deepest backcountry, doves call it their home. It went downwards couple more kilometers before passing through the small town Poi and directly into climb number 3 up to Galilea. Coming from this direction, it was the easier approach up to the small town. Around 4 kilometers with an average gradient of 4.6% meant easy rolling upward. Before going down the other side, down to Escabdella, on a beautiful descent where I spotted this olive tree cracking through the rock face. Down in Escabdella, the next 8 kilometers would be relatively easy, with minor ups and downs, heading towards the city entrance. Since I planned the routes in not so detailed fashion, I managed to experience Mallorquin backyards quite thorough and more than expected. The scenery was beautiful. I could hear the sounds of donkeys and whatnot, but gravel-ish roads coupled with steep pitched inclines were a bit more challenging than needed in that situation.
Jeez. That's steep. Wow. Specifically made for cars. Nice. Wow.
However, I made it, and finally we were hitting tarmac again.
It wasn't a detour, but it felt like one.
From this point, it would be 20 kilometers along the wild and picturesque coast of northern Mallorca, towards northeast. For one, it would be an adorable ride, but equally quite demanding since my legs were again tired from all the good climbing. Windy roads, wild vegetation and the sea on the horizon made the way back home memorable, but also the several encounters with somewhat wild animals. Heading towards Estelens first, followed by Banyal Boulevard on the MA10 roadway. 2 final inclines would lay between me and Valdemossa. The first of which would be Col de Sabatida, followed by Col de Claret that I already wrote down early in the morning. But first of all, I had to make several lumpy kilometers to make it to the final climbs. don't have any footage of the uphill rides, but I can tell you very clearly I had to contain myself quite strongly because there wasn't a whole lot more in the tank. So I was more than happy making it back to Valdemossa, and somehow I was even enjoying the sketchy downhill on polished cobblestones, symbolizing the finishing straight of today's ride. Wow, that two routes were quite exhausting, but also just exciting, I have to say. I hope you enjoyed this video, because that's it for today. What's your favorite climb at Mallorca? Let me know in the comments below. And if you don't want to miss out any future uploads, maybe subscribe to the channel. This would help a lot. Alright, that's about it. We will see us in another video. Velodicted, cheers.